Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, and in today's video we'll study about the anatomy of circulatory system. So we'll first understand that what organs are responsible for the circulatory system. Those are heart, blood vessels and lymph. There are three major types of blood vessels. Those are arteries, veins and capillaries. Arteries carries the oxygenated blood, and the only one exception is the pulmonary artery carries the deoxygenated blood. Veins carries the deoxygenated blood, and the only one exception is the pulmonary vein carries the oxygenated blood. Capillaries, this acts as a junction where the gaseous exchange occurs, and these are the joining parts or point of arteries and veins. In this image, first image, we can see the artery and vein joins together, and the joining point is the capillaries. And in the second image, we can see the artery and vein made up of connective tissue, smooth muscles and epithelial tissue. Arteries are the large blood vessels that lead blood away from the heart. Their walls are made up of connective tissue, elastic fibers, and an innermost layer of epithelial cells called endothelium. Endothelial cells, which line all blood vessels, secrete substances that affect the size of the blood vessels, blood clotting, and the growth of the blood vessels. Because arteries carry blood away from the heart, they must be strong enough to withstand the high pressure of the pumping of the heart. Their elastic walls allow them to expand as the heartbeat forces blood into the arterial system through the body. Smaller branches of arteries are called arterioles. Arterioles are thinner than the arteries and carry the blood to the tiniest of blood vessels, the capillaries. Capillaries have walls that are only one endothelial cell thick. These delicate microscopic vessels carry nutrient-rich oxygenated blood from arteries and arterioles to the body cells. Their walls are thin enough to allow the passage of oxygen and nutrients out of the bloodstream and into the tissue fluid surrounding the cells. Once inside the cells, the nutrients are burned in the presence of oxygen to release needed energy within the cell. At the same time, waste products such as carbon dioxide and water pass out of the cells into the thin-walled capillaries. The waste-filled blood then flows back to the heart in small veins called venules, which branch to form larger vessels called veins. Veins are thinner walled than the arteries. Veins have little elastic tissue and less connective tissue than the arteries. Blood pressure in veins is extremely low compared with pressure in arteries. In order to keep blood moving back toward the heart, veins have valves that prevent the backflow of blood and keep the blood moving in one direction. Muscular action also helps the movement of blood in veins. In the first image, we can see the arterioles are thinner than the arteries and the venules are thinner than the veins, and in the capillary, the junction area, the gaseous exchange of the deoxygenated and oxygenated blood occurs. And as we studied earlier that there are three different types of blood vessels, arteries, capillaries and veins, we'll see the arrangement. The largest one is the elastic artery, then muscular artery, small arteries, arteriole, vena cava, veins, small veins and venules. Lymph. The lymphatic system is a network of tissues and organs that help rid the body of toxins, waste and other unwanted materials. The primary function of the lymphatic system is to transport lymph a fluid containing infection fighting white blood cells throughout the body. Heart, the most important organ of the circulatory system, and the heart lies in the thoracic cavity, means the chest region, just behind the breastbone, which is also known as sternum, in the mediastinum, and the mediastinum is the space between both the lungs inside the chest cavity. The heart is a pump consisting of 4 chambers. It is actually a double pump bound into one organ and synchronized very carefully. The chambers are right atrium, right ventricle, and left ventricle, and the 4 chambers are separated, and this partition is known as the septa. Now we'll see how the blood pumps. So let's just imagine in this image that right side is the pump station number 1 and the left side is the pump station number 2. The pump station number 1 on the right side of the heart sends oxygen deficient, means the deoxygenated blood, to the lungs, where the blood picks up oxygen and releases its carbon dioxide. The newly oxygenated blood returns to the left side of the heart to pump station number 2 and does not mix with the pump station number 1. Pump station number 2 then forces the oxygenated blood out to all parts of the body. At the body tissues, the blood loses its oxygen, and on returning to the heart to pump station number 1, blood poor in oxygen is sent back to the lungs to begin the cycle. So here the deoxygenated blood gets entered into the right atrium, then goes to the right ventricle, then goes to the lungs. Here the deoxygenated blood gets oxygenated, then goes to the left atrium, left ventricle, and from left ventricle to the entire body system. Now we'll see how the deoxygenated blood gets entered into the heart. The oxygen poor blood enters the heart through the 2 largest veins in the body called vena cava. One is superior and another one is inferior vena cava. Superior means above, inferior means below. The superior vena cava takes blood from the upper parts of the body, and the inferior vena cava takes blood from the lower parts of the body. The vena cava bring oxygen poor that had passed through all of the body to the right atrium. The right atrium contracts to force the blood through the tricuspid valve to the right ventricle. The right ventricle contracts to pump oxygen poor blood through the pulmonary valve into the pulmonary artery. The pulmonary artery then branches to carry the oxygen deficient blood to each lung. The blood enters the lung capillaries from the pulmonary artery, soon loses its large quantity of carbon dioxide into the lungs, and at the same time the oxygen enters the capillaries of the lungs. The walls of the left atrium contract to force blood through the mitral valve into the left ventricle. The left ventricle has the thickest walls of all 4 chambers. It must pump blood with great force so that blood travels through arteries to all parts of the body. The blood is pumped out of the left ventricle through the aortic valve and into the aorta, which branches carry blood all over the body. The aortic valve prevents the return blood to the ventricle once it has been pumped off. Chambers of the heart separated by partition called septa. In this diagram, we'll clearly understand the entire circulation process. So the superior vena cava takes the blood from the upper part of the body. The inferior vena cava takes blood from the lower part of the body. Once the deoxygenated blood enters the vena cava, it enters to the right atrium. Then the right atrium forces the blood to pass to the right ventricle, and here there is a valve which separates the right atrium and right ventricle, and the function of valve is the prevention of backflow of blood. So the right atrium forces the deoxygenated blood through the tricuspid valve to the right ventricle. From right ventricle, the deoxygenated blood gets entered into the pulmonary artery through the pulmonary valve. Then the pulmonary artery is separated into two parts. First one is pulmonary artery to the right lung and pulmonary artery to the left lung. So the pulmonary artery releases the deoxygenated blood to the each lung, and there the deoxygenated blood gets oxygenated. And as we studied earlier that the pulmonary vein is the only one vein which carries the oxygenated blood. After the blood gets oxygenated through pulmonary vein, it enters the heart. At the same time, the left atrium contracts and forces the blood to enter into the left ventricle through the mitral valve. It is also known as the bicuspid valve. From left ventricle through the aortic valve, the oxygenated blood gets entered into the aorta, and from aorta the oxygenated blood goes to the entire body, to the upper and lower parts of the body. Heartbeat and heart sounds. There are two phases of heartbeat. Diastole is the relaxation phase, systole is the contraction phase. Diastole occurs when the ventricle walls relaxes and blood flows into the heart from the vena cava and pulmonary veins. The tricuspid and mitral valves open in diastole as blood passes from the right and left atria to the ventricles. The pulmonary and aortic valves are closed during the diastole. Systole occurs next as the walls of the right and left ventricle contract to pump blood into the pulmonary artery and aorta. Both the tricuspid and mitral valves close during the systole process, thus preventing the flow of blood back into the atria. The diastole-systole cardiac cycle occurs between 70 to 80 times per minute. The beat of the heart felt through the walls of the arteries is called pulse. In this diagram, we can see the two phases, that is diastole and systole. During the diastole process, the tricuspid and mitral valves open, aortic and pulmonary valves closes. But during the systole phase, the tricuspid and mitral valve closes and the aortic and the pulmonary valves opens. Conduction system of the heart. A small region of specialized muscle tissue in the posterior portion of the right atrium where an electrical impulse originates. This region of the right atrium is called sinoatrial node. The sinoatrial node is also called the pacemaker of the heart. The current electricity generated by the pacemaker causes the walls of the atria to contract and force blood into the ventricles. Almost like ripples in a pond of water when a stone is thrown, the wave of electricity passes from the pacemaker to another region of the myocardium. This region is at the posterior portion of the interatrial septum and is called the atrioventricular node. The AV node immediately sends the excitation wave to a bundle of specialized muscle fibers called bundle of His. Within the intraventricular septum, the bundle of His divides into right and left bundle branches which carry the impulses to the right and left ventricles, causing them to contract. Thus, systole occurs and blood is pumped away from the heart. A short period follows and then pacemaker begins the wave of excitation across the heart again. The record used to detect these electrical changes in heart muscles as the heart beats is called the electrocardiogram, which is also known as EKG or ECG. In this diagram we can see this is the right atrium, and here in the posterior portion of the right atrium the sinoatrial node is present, which generates the electrical impulses and which causes the atrial walls to contract and releases the impulses to the ventricle. Purkinje fibers. Purkinje fibers are network of fibers that receive conductive signals originating at the atrioventricular node and simultaneously activate the left and right ventricles by directly stimulating the ventricular myocardium. At last, the layers of the heart. There are three different layers of the heart. The first one is the endocardium, middle muscle layer is the myocardium, and the last one is the epicardium. Thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to like, subscribe and to hit the bell icon for the upcoming videos.